I really loved Zack Snyder's DC Universe, and this movie basically took the things that I loved most about it and threw it out of the window. Hans Zimmer and Junkie XL's score? Literally, only one theme is really here. The Superman who took his job seriously but still obviously cared about human life. Hey, how would you like to see Henry Cavill's Christopher Reeve impersonation? And on top of that, there was so much just cut out and replaced that didn't need to be cut out and replaced. There was lots of stuff with Arthur Curry and his background. There were more developmental scenes of Steppenwolf where he actually expressed how much he actually hates working under his master Darkseid and would actually love to be rid of him. There were so many interesting things that were just cut because Shuja Harbor wanted to make a DC version of the Avengers, among other things. And listen, I love the Avengers, but there will only ever be one Avengers. You're not going to accomplish anything trying to redo what's already been done. You need to do your own thing, and for my money, that's what Snyder has always done. You watch a Zack Snyder movie, and you can tell it's his movie. And I think that if Justice League was allowed to be his movie, it would have been great. This could have been to comic book films what Lord of the Rings was to fantasy films. But instead, it is just another Percy Jackson and the Olympians the Lightning Thief. I really do hope we get a cut of Zack Snyder's final vision before he left in May. Maybe we will, maybe we won't.
Well, we did it, people. Zack Snyder's cut of Justice League is on its way, come to HBO Max next fucking year.
But all I know is that I'm looking forward to Zack's next film. Maybe that'll be The Last Photograph. Maybe it'll be Justice League 2. Maybe it'll be something else.
Hey everyone, Woodstock here, and I just saw the good news. Zack Snyder is back in the saddle again, teaming up with Netflix for his new project, drumroll please, Army of the Dead. A heist movie set during a zombie apocalypse. How interesting. We're eating good this year, Zack Snyder fans. We are eating so good. Our story starts just a few months after the events of Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice, with the arrival of an alien named Steppenwolf, an exiled general hailing from a world called Apocalypse. Steppenwolf is currently in debt to his nephew the King, Darkseid, who demands that he destroy at least 10,000 worlds in order to pay back his involvement in a coup centuries earlier. With his arrival on Earth, Steppenwolf hopes to be able to return to Darkseid by activating the previously forgotten Mother Boxes, 3 devices which can change matter and were reawakened following the death of Superman. Following his premonitions from the prior film and the ominous warning from Lex Luthor, Bruce Wayne persuades Arthur Curry, the half-human Atlantean king-to-be, and one Barry Allen, a young man with the ability to move quicker than the speed of light, into joining him and Diana Prince in an effort to defeat the Apocalyptian general, while Arthur takes more convincing than Barry. Eventually, both men agree to join the fight. Diana herself speaks with a young man named Victor Stone, a presumed dead college student now living as a sentient machine who can manipulate technology. Like Arthur, Victor is initially disinclined to help with their cause, mostly on the basis that the accident that left him, more machine than man, has left him rather bitter towards the world and therefore uninterested in helping, but is eventually convinced following Steppenwolf's kidnapping of his father, Silas. The 5 heroes gave their best effort against the Apocalyptian in their first battle, but it just isn't enough to tip the scale. Victor's father had previously revived Victor from a devastating accident that destroyed most of his body using the power of the Mother Box, which gives everyone the exact same idea. Given Steppenwolf's immense strength, there is perhaps only one being strong enough to take him, a being that is currently dead, but with the power of the box, could be revived. Everyone agrees that it's both an awfully amazing idea and an amazingly awful idea, but they all decide together that they need to bring back Superman. With the power of the box, the energy of the lightning generated by Barry's speed, and the technological interface between Victor and the Kryptonian mothership that previously belonged to General Zod, and with that, Clark Kent, the Man of Steel, is brought back to life. And while there are some shenanigans at first, eventually the last son of Krypton is cajoled into coming back in Black. With the power of the Man of Steel on their side, the heroes all managed to defeat Steppenwolf and retrieve the Mother Boxes. However, following the Apocalyptian General's defeat, the newly christened Justice League are greeted by the sight of their fallen foe's boss, Darkseid. And while no words are exchanged, the message is clear. This fight was only the first in a very long war that is not even close to being done. Following this, though, we see a montage of everyone returning to their lives and getting ready for the next big adventure. Be it a spin-off film, a new job, marriage, or teases for a Justice League sequel that will only come if we, the audience, keep bugging the hell out of Warner Brothers. So let's make it fucking happen. The credits then roll to the tune of Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah, as performed by Alison Krauss, and ends with two words that'll put a tear in anyone's eye if they know the reason why it's there. For Autumn. Pros. The fact that this movie even exists is a pro. After seeing this movie get torn apart and then Frankenstein onto some messy thing of Joss Whedon and Jeff Johns' creation, it is such a relief to finally see the real movie. And while I'd love to see Zack Snyder get some more time in this universe he created, if this is the last thing we ever get from Zack Snyder in the DC universe, I'm pretty okay with that. Don't get me wrong, I still want more, but if we don't get more, I'm okay with this being the last thing we get. Gal Gadot, Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, Amy Adams, Jeremy Irons, and Diane Lane all returned for their respective roles from the prior films in this universe. And they are still brilliant, but I especially enjoy Affleck and Cavill because, well, they are clearly enjoying themselves getting to play more self-assured characters this time around. Where Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne in Batman v Superman was the personification of the quote, "From hell's heart I stab at thee. For hate's sake I spit my last breath at thee," from Moby Dick. Here he's far more calm, more personable, and ready to give his life as opposed to being ready to kill. And where Cavill's Superman in BVS was the personification of the lyrics, "I'm not crazy, I'm just a little impaired. I know right now you don't care, but soon enough you're gonna think of me and how I used to be me." Or, "I'm not crazy, I'm just a little unwell. I know right now you can't tell, but stay a while, and maybe then you'll see a different side of me," from the song Unwell by Matchbox 20. Here in Zack Snyder's Justice League, once Cavill's Superman is himself, he's got a new confidence. He's got a new lease on life, largely because he has a new life, period, so why the fuck waste it on not feeling confident in yourself? Jason Momoa, Ray Fisher, and Ezra Miller all show why a big-name filmmaker like Zack Snyder took a chance on the three of them, not only to help him anchor this film, but also to potentially give them their own solo films. They each get the chance to shine in a big way, and they do not disappoint. Jason's Arthur Curry is far more than just a brute with a few tough one-liners like he was in the 2017 version of this film. He has some actual depth. There's an internal conflict that was expanded on and displayed further in his solo film in 2018. Arthur wants to be a part of Atlantean society, but he would also prefer to just reject that society that already rejected him for circumstances beyond his control. And spoilers if you've only seen the 2017 movie, not the Snyder Cut. After the scene where Silas sacrifices himself for the League and for Victor, Arthur is clearly troubled by this whole thing. He questioned whether Victor was a possible double agent or whether he was really a human being anymore. And yet he saw this 20-something kid be utterly destroyed by witnessing his father's death, and he feels just awful about the whole thing. And this compels him to get back in touch with his own father after seeing this whole awful ordeal through to the end. And on the subject of Ray's Victor Stone, Holy hell! John's Whedon got this guy's scenes in the 2017 film. It's not even funny. So much of his character is more fleshed out now. We see Victor's life before he became a cyborg. He was an all-star football player with a mind as sharp a tool as his body. But despite his skills as an athlete and his brilliant mind, Victor's father, Silas, more or less doesn't seem to even give half a shit about him. Victor's mother, Eleanor, tries to reassure him that that isn't the case, but before she can get that message through, they're made victims of a horrific car accident that kills her and renders Victor all but dead. When Silas intervenes to save his father from certain death, you can't help but be reminded of a quote from Rorschach in Snyder's film version of Watchmen.
Suddenly you discover humanity. Convenient. If you'd cared from the start, none of this would have happened.
And while he does slowly come to appreciate the potential of his new power, he still isn't ready to open his heart back up to his father. But that lost love is quickly found again once Silas is kidnapped and then sacrifices his life to help Victor save the world. When the film ends, we see Victor use his power over machinery to reassemble an old tape recorder his father had left for him, and listens to Silas's message of encouragement, and finds that while he's lost both of his parents now, he can move on knowing that they each gave him their everything, and he can make them proud by being his best self. And not only does he find a way to love his father again, he finds a way to love himself again. For so long, Victor had resented his condition and thought himself a monster completely alone. But when he's working to separate the mother boxes from each other, Victor is confronted by a vision of himself as he was before his accident, along with his mother and father. And the vision asks them to join him. It promises to make Victor whole again, and swears that he'll never be alone again. And in an extremely powerful scene, Victor replies that he is neither broken nor alone. And then, finally, we have Ezra Miller as Barry Allen, who is still a fairly humorous character like he was in the 2017 film, but he's also an actual character now. For starters, while Barry explains that he's never been in an actual fight in the theatrical cut of the film, Barry is fully prepared to kick some ass in this version, and he does it spectacularly, and is even shown to be able to move so fast that he can travel backwards through time. It's an ability that we knew Barry could already do thanks to Batman v Superman, but one you could have assumed was something he'd have to work at for a long time, or was only capable of doing in specific circumstances. But here, we see Barry in his young career is already powerful enough to go back in time just a few minutes to save his new friends and the entire world. We see him book it faster than he's ever ran before. We hear him hype himself up. Make your own future. Make your own past. It's all right now. And you just know that's something that college students, high school seniors, or even people looking for the first job or a new job are going to whisper to themselves as things get going. And speaking of Barry, we get one more scene with Barry's father, Henry. And this one extra scene really makes a world of difference in my opinion. All it really is Henry laughing his ass off when Barry says he's got a new gig at the Central City Crime Lab, and this is him putting his foot in the door. And Henry laughs at that before proudly hollering to the guards and the other convicts, "Look at this kid. I taught him nothing he knows." It's a small moment, but it means a lot because, one, I think it's funny as hell, but two, I think it's nice that Barry got to know just how proud of him his father is. But on the subject of the other father in this film, Joe Morton gets a lot more material to work with than he did last time we saw him as Dr. Silas Stone. For starters, instead of just being a little uneasy with Victor's transformation, which he caused, he tries to be the one to put Victor's mind at ease. He tries to tell him about all the incredible things that Victor can do now with his new body, and furthermore apologizes for being such a piece of shit dad the past few years, and tells his son just how proud of him he is, and how proud to be his father he is. And instead of just being a passive figure in the fight with Steppenwolf, he tries to actually make a sacrificial play to help the heroes. He knows he'll never win against Steppenwolf, he can hardly even delay him, so he does the next best thing. He makes the last Mother Box, which was left in the care of Star Labs, a tracking device. It's his efforts that ultimately allows the League to find where Steppenwolf is, where he's been taking the boxes, and kick his ass. Without Dr. Stone, the world would have been absolutely fucked. Way to go, Doc. But enough of the supporting cast. Let's talk about the villain. While I enjoyed Ciarán Hinds as Steppenwolf in Whedon's 2017 cut of Justice League, it's pretty clear this is the performance that Hinds put his soul into. Many fans questioned why you'd pick Steppenwolf to be the villain of Justice League of all characters. He's hardly a well-known villain who could pose a believable threat to the Justice League, even in their first adventure. And with this film, Zack Snyder eventually gives you a coy smirk and says, exactly. Steppenwolf is an incredibly powerful character, but he's clearly not the final boss. He's the guy you face at the start of the game, and at first think, oh shit, how am I gonna beat this guy? But then you do, and you say to yourself, huh, that was easier than I thought it would be. If I might make a comparison to Star Wars The Old Republic, Steppenwolf is not the Sith Emperor. He's Bengal Moore, the fallen Jedi you fight on Tython at the end of the Jedi Knight's prologue. He's not
The evil monster who wants to destroy existence.
He's just a desperate guy who wants to go home.
But he still sounds like this.
And he also doesn't give a shit about Earth. If he has to destroy it, he'll destroy it. But if Darkseid suddenly said, actually, nah, don't destroy it, you've done your job, he would leave without a second thought because he does not give a shit. He just wants to go home. And speaking as a guy who's had to push around shopping carts at 11 o'clock at night in the middle of a half-full parking lot, I can relate. And that being said, there's a strange conflicted feeling when the League finally take his ass down. On the one hand, you're glad the heroes are triumphant and save the world, but you're also left feeling a little bit sad for Steppenwolf because he just wanted to go home. He didn't ask for any of this. He just wanted to be able to set his feet back on Apocalypse again. Fabian Wagner, who shot the Game of Thrones episodes The Laws of Gods and Men, Mockingbird, The Gift, Hard Home, The Battle of the Bastards, The Winds of Winter, The Long Night, and The Bells, and co-shot the J.J. Abrams-produced film Overlord with fellow cinematographer Laurie Rose, he teams up here with our man Zack Snyder, and we can see what this guy really wanted to do, unlike the bastardization we saw in 2017. Many may bemoan the aspect ratio of the picture, but you can't deny just how pretty that picture actually looks, especially with the initial establishing shots in Iceland, but also the shots of Gotham and the first battle against Steppenwolf and Uxas. It's all really some good stuff. Jokes about ancient lamentations aside, Tom Hulkenberg, aka Junkie XL, really knocks it out of the park and satisfyingly washes out the bitter taste of the audio equivalent of Danny Elfman giving himself a hand job in 2017. Not only does he create a new Batman theme for Ben Affleck's Batman, now that he's cast aside the worst parts of himself after the events of Batman vs. Superman, he manages to create some excellent new themes for Cyborg and the Flash. His Aquaman theme is okay on its own, but I'll save further thoughts on that for the next section. Overall, though, I'm just really happy to hear Tom working with Zack again. Damon Caro, who's been working with Zack on action choreography and stunt coordination since Dawn of the Dead, returns to Zack's world once again, and he once again knocks it out of the park. Particularly so with the initial fight between Steppenwolf and the League, and the fight between Steppenwolf and the Amazons. Those sequences had some superficial changes to them in the 2017 cut of Justice League, like the majority of that film, but they were still pretty epic. And now you can see the unaltered version of these sequences in combination with Hulkenberg's score, and man, does it make for some good shit. Oh, and one more thing. Jared Leto's scene as the Joker in the Nightmare Future is absolutely fantastic. I already said I'm fine with not getting sequels to this movie, but WB needs to release the damn Ayer cut already. Release David Ayer's cut of Suicide Squad, because if Jared is half as great in that version of the movie as he is in this fucking movie, then we've been fucking robbed. What Heath did in The Dark Knight or Joaquin did in Joker, it's easily on par with those guys. Hashtag release the Ayer cut. Let's make it fucking happen. Cons. Tom Hulkenberg's Aquaman theme is a perfectly good piece in its own right, but it just doesn't have the same energy and pop that Rupert Gregson Williams' theme had in Jason Momoa's solo film. Admittedly, you can chalk that up to that was the character's theme once they realized who they are, whereas this is the character's theme before all that. And while I think that is a fair argument, for my money, Rupert just cracked the code. I'm sorry, Tom. I get the feeling this is going to be a point of contention with some of my fellow Zack Snyder fans, but I personally wish some of this film just looked a bit lighter, I guess. While I did compliment Mr. Wagner's work on the film, and I do stand behind my words, I would have liked to have seen something a little less visually dark. It doesn't ruin the film by any stretch at all. This is just a minor point of contention I have. Why does Mira have an English accent now? It's not even a bad accent. It's just odd to hear Amber Heard put on an accent when she played the role American in Aquaman and in the 2017 cut of Justice League. Did Warner really just go back and have Amber ADR her lines in the 2017 movie just so she'd be an American? That seems like a waste of money. Then again, so was the rest of the 2017 cut of Justice League. For 2.5 years, I was one of those crazy people on Twitter complaining about the 2017 film and how much Warner Brothers screwed the pooch. If people actually gave Zack's film a chance, they might actually like it. And then 1 year ago today, I had the biggest smile on my face because we'd won. Me and my friends, we'd all won. We would finally get to see it happen. We would finally get to see the movie we've been waiting for since March 2016. That we thought we would get in November 2017, but didn't. And now, I really just feel like things are right again. Don't get me wrong, Warner Media, particularly Warner Brothers, is still a shit show. I don't know what the hell is going to come from this Discovery merger, but frankly, regardless of whether the results end up being a positive or negative for the film industry, I'd rather not see another big corporate merger. And I'm fairly ambivalent about whether the heads of WB will roll or not, because frankly, that deal has been in the works for a hot minute now, so the guys replacing the current assholes in charge are likely just as big an asshole, because they've likely been complicit in sabotaging the investigation requested by Ray Fisher.
Okay, I might have spoken a bit too soon on that one.
But frankly, corporate politics are a chore to get through. What matters here to me is that Zack Snyder finally got his movie to be released. And not only am I happy to see it, I'm happy Zack gets to see it. Whether the Snyderverse is restored or not isn't as important as if the man behind the camera is happy with his work and with his life. And I'm getting the feeling this fella is feeling better about everything now in 2021 than he was in 2017. As a Zack Snyder fanboy, I'm going to give Zack Snyder's Justice League a 5 out of 5. But from a more objective perspective, this is probably more of a 4 out of 5, provided you can comfortably sit through a 4-hour runtime. It's a long sit, so I'd recommend getting up at around the 2.5 hour mark to go to the bathroom and get a snack, then sit back down and settle in for the last hour and a half. But trust me, you won't regret this. Oh, and one more thing. I made a bet with a friend of mine before this movie dropped, and fuck you, Rotten Tomatoes.
For you, buddy.
I tried.
I can't do it. I tried.
That's awkward.
Now, wasn't there something else that Zack Snyder released this year? Something with zombies, right? The 2020s really blow so far, don't they? You think this decade sucks in real life so far? You should see the load the people gotta deal with in this movie. It's downright gag-worthy. Las Vegas is now under quarantine due to an outbreak of zombies. While the monsters are contained, it's pretty clear that there's no way to bring these people back to normal or to make the place hospitable again. So, the US government has made the decision to just nuke the fucking place. Blast it all to hell, make it light up like the 4th of July, because they're dropping the bomb on the 4th of July. The neat little thing here, though, is that all the money in those casino vaults is still a legal tender. Sure, it was all insured, so technically the owners didn't lose any of their actual assets, but it's still just sitting there, collecting dust, with nothing to be spent on. So, a gentleman by the name of Bly Tanaka, played by Hiroyuki Sanada, approaches an ex-mercenary named Scott Ward, played by Dave Bautista. It's June 30th. There's 4 days to get the money out of his vault. There's $250 million inside it. Go pick it up for me, and I'll pocket most of it, but you can keep $50 million to split between yourself and anybody you want to help you out. Common sense would tell you, Scott said, thank you for that generous offer, but I'll have to decline. A glance at your bank account would tell you, yeah, who the hell am I kidding? Go for it, Scott! Which is exactly what Mr. Ward does. Pros. Dave Bautista is on his A game in this film. His physique obviously lends a lot of credibility to him being an action star, but his actual performance goes a long way to make him come off as a personable and friendly man dealing with a lot of trauma from his prior life. I won't go into further detail because the film only just dropped today as I'm recording this, so I don't want to spoil anything, but it's a very good performance. Ana de la Reguera plays Scott's old friend Maria Cruz, and she does a pretty good job as a second command of the group. There's a couple small scenes between Maria and Scott that I really enjoy that I think you're going to really like when you see the film. Ella Purnell plays Kate Ward, Scott's daughter, who has a contentious relationship with her old man. She does a good job playing against Dave and the actors playing her friends, and extra credit to the actress because she's apparently an Englishwoman and I could not tell at all. Omari Hardwick plays Vanderoof. I don't know how to say that last part. I don't know. What was this, Bandero? I don't know. What the fuck, Zach? What the fuck? Like, anyway, the guy Omari Hardwick plays is the number 3 man to Batista and Reguera. He's a different kind of cat than his buddies, but he's a very cool dude who I look forward to seeing more of in the upcoming spin-off films. German actor Matthias Motherfucker Schwehofer? I don't know, I'm sorry. Plays Ludwig, the team's safecracker. He is the comedy relief of the film, and he's perfect at it because he's goddamn hilarious. I can't wait to see what this guy does in Army of Thieves, both in front of and behind the camera, and I hope both projects lead to more work in the United States for this brilliant actor. Tig Notaro places Chris D'Elia as Marianne Peters, and she's another delightful comedic presence with her much drier and snarkier sense of humor. Hey, Netflix, maybe once the pandemic is over, why not give Tig a call? Because I think another comedy special from her could be some good shit. Also, a little side note, I didn't realize this until doing some research. Miss Totaro apparently survived breast cancer after undergoing a double mastectomy. So, as far as I'm concerned, she is the biggest badass in this cast. Way to fucking go, ma'am. Way to fucking go. Richard Catrone, who was Ben Affleck's stunt double in Batman vs. Superman, Suicide Squad, and both versions of Justice League, plays Zeus, the king of the zombies. And while he doesn't deliver any spoken lines beyond your typical zombie screeches, you know, he managed to say a lot with his physicality, both in the actual scenes where you're supposed to understand Zeus as a character, and of course in the action scenes. It's actually a pretty good performance, honestly. Maybe the guy should take some lessons and see if he can crack it as an actual actor who has to talk. The rest of the cast all do their job very well as well. Samantha Wynn, formerly known as Samantha Joe, who was the lead in Zack's short film Snow, Steam, Iron, is real good. Hiroyuki Sanada is real good. Garrett Dillahunt is great. Theo Rossi, who you might remember as Shades from Netflix's Luke Cage, plays an amazingly pathetic asshole. He's so great as just a complete ass. Nora Arn-Azender does a real good job. Raul Castillo plays a fun character. It's just overall a very well-cast picture. Really well done. Good job, guys. As per usual, Damon Carroll and Tom Hulkenberg knock this ball out of the whole damn park. The action is exciting as hell, thanks in equal part to Tom's score and Damon's choreography, as well as the actual handling of the stunt work. I haven't actually mentioned this, but Damon has been Zack's second unit director since Man of Steel, and for my money, this more grounded and straightforward action has been some of his best work for years. And I'm not digging his work on Man of Steel, BVS, and Justice League because that was fucking good stuff too. I really hope Mr. Caro one of these days ends up going the way of David Leitch and Chad Stahelski. I'd be very intrigued to see what this guy does when he's in the driver's seat and not beholden to another director's vision. Not that Zack has a bad vision by any means, because I fucking love Zack. And on the matter of Tom Holkenberg's brilliant score, not only is the score lovely as per usual, he's also produced a most delightful rendition of Viva Las Vegas as performed by Richard Cheese and Alison Crowe. The former, you might remember, was featured in Zack Snyder's first film, Dawn of the Dead, and the latter of which was seen in Man of Steel as a singer performing in the bar Clark Kent was working in, and also performed Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah for the aforementioned Snyder Cut. And one final thing before we get into the cons, Zack Snyder not only directed the camera for this outing, he actually handled the camera this time. Zack Snyder is not only the credited director, he is also the credited director of photography, the cinematographer. So, Mr. Fong, Mr. Wagner, Mr. Mokri, Mr. Leonetti, your services are no longer required. The Zack Attack is going to be handling things on his own from this point on, because this movie is shot wonderfully, in my opinion. Cons. I only have 2 quibbles about this movie, but they're both big spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiled, skip ahead to this time code. I'll give you to the count of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you're still here, and you haven't seen the movie yet, you'd better not complain in the comments. While I complimented Ella's performance, I thought the subplot with her going to find her friend among the zombies was really unnecessary. It didn't derail the other characters, but it also didn't help at all. It was just kind of there, honestly. Another thing I feel I ought to ding the movie for is the flashback where Scott kills his wife, who's become a zombie. I really don't think we needed to see that, and I thought it played out a little melodramatically, especially with Bautista screaming through tears as he stabs his zombified bride in the head. I mean, come on, Zack. I know you love to be extra, and I love you for it, but you didn't need to do it like this. A bullet to the head works just as fine. You know that. Before we get into my final thoughts, I'd like to issue an apology to Dave Bautista. In 2018, after James Gunn was fired when his creepy jokes from 2008 to 2012 resurfaced on Twitter, I was actually of the opinion that Gunn deserved to be fired, or rather, he shouldn't have been hired in the first place. I thought Guardians was something that could have worked fine if he was not at the helm, and I think it was something that could be fine if he was still not at the helm. Bautista, of course, depended his friend, and the man who owed him a lot of his opportunities as an actor. If it weren't for Guardians, I imagine Dave wouldn't have gotten gigs like Blade Runner 2049, Dune, or even Army of the Dead. As someone who can be a bit prudish at times with his sense of humor, I was rather put off by Gunn's humor and rather outraged by the fact that a lot of people, including Dave, were so vocally defensive of the man after he'd been fired. I think all I did was tweet "fuck you" at Dave and then block him, which was dumb. I'm sure others said worse, but that still didn't make my petty insult any better. I still think Gunn's jokes were in bad taste, and him no longer making them feels less like an act of maturation and more like a conscious effort to make himself more appealing to a family-friendly company like Disney when negotiations for Guardians would have been taking place. But I also recognize that past bad behavior before you had the job you have now doesn't really warrant being fired. And also, making creepy jokes is nowhere near the same thing as what Chris D'Elia did, which she absolutely deserved to be fired for, and far worse once the court does their job. So, Mr. Bautista, if for some reason you end up seeing this, please allow me to apologize. You're a talented performer both on the big screen and in the wrestling ring, and you seem like a good man with strong loyalties. I look forward to seeing more of your work, especially after this film. And as far as the actual film, yeah, it's a fucking great time. Go see it. I managed to see it in theaters, and it was a damn good time, and it'll probably be a damn great time on your TV or your laptop screen if you can only see it on Netflix. If you can't see it in theaters, go see this on the big screen. It deserves it. I'm gonna give Army of the Dead a 5 out of 5. So, I don't know how good 2021 is going to be. On the one hand, we might be able to see other people again soon. On the other hand, we might be able to see other people again soon. But as far as I can tell, Zack Snyder's 2021 is looking to be a damn good time. 2 banger films just dropped in just as many months, with a spin-off series and a prequel coming from his production company coming next within the next couple of years. I think we can safely say for old Zack Attack, this year will indeed be better than the last. Make sure to check out some of my previous videos. I've done reviews for literally every other film Zack Snyder has directed or produced, save for Wonder Woman 1984. Everything from Dawn of the Dead to 300 to Watchmen to Owls of Ga'Hoole to Sucker Punch to Man of Steel to 300 Rise of an Empire to Batman vs. Superman to Snow Steam Iron to now these bad boys. I've also done reviews for Whedon's version of Justice League, Neil Marshall's Hellboy, Ruben Fleischer's Venom, Ryan Coogler's Black Panther, David Leitch's Deadpool 2, Wesley Snipes and David Goyer's Blade Trilogy, James Wan's Aquaman, Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman, David Sandberg's Shazam, Marvel Studios' Adventures Infinity War, Todd Phillips' Joker, plus reviews for all entries within the Predator franchise, every Star Wars film put out under Disney, a look at the final arc for each of the last 3 seasons of Star Wars The Clone Wars, the video game Marvel Ultimate Alliance, and even the original Watchmen graphic novel, and so much more for you to check out. And all that being said, I'd like to thank you, my subscribers. I just recently noticed that I hit 104 subscribers, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. I've thought a few times about hanging up this whole YouTuber thing. My videos are pretty DIY. I don't use more slick styles of production. I just started using these videos while using Windows Movie Maker on my laptop in 2015 because I was excited for The Force Awakens. Then I stopped because I just didn't feel like it anymore. And then I started making videos again because I saw Doug Walker compare Zack Snyder to Michael Bay, and I thought, you're dumb, and you're wrong. And I was right. And I haven't really looked back since then. My laptop got busted over the summer, and I tried to use a new software on my new laptop, but I wound up just finding a download for Windows Movie Maker because I liked it best, and I just find it really easy to use. And I'm really glad you've all stuck with me through all this, so let me end this video by just saying, your future rests in the palm of your hands. So forge the best possible future you can for yourself. Treat yourself with kindness, but don't forget about your responsibilities as a citizen of this world. Treat others with kindness, the same kindness that you would have others treat you with. This is a difficult time for a lot of people, so do whatever you can to make it easier. Wear that mask, get that vaccine, wash them hands, and we'll be out of these woods soon enough. In the meantime, thank you for being here, and have yourself a great day. Woodstock out.